Today, we're going to be talking about heaven and hell. Is heaven real? Is hell real? Well, after watching and reading over 1,000 accounts of near-death experiences, I have some thoughts on this subject, and I'm going to share them with you. What do you think happens when you die? Are you ready? I am feeling very angelic today, and we're going to talk now about heaven and hell. So, what happens when we die? Well, let me start with hell. Spoiler alert, there is no hell. Um, Hell is the condition that we create here on this earth, and especially happens when we are completely off of our path and things do not feel good and we are not living the life that we intended to live. And it just creates this hell on earth. With one exception, I will say that there are times that as a soul we come here to experience the worst conditions in life because it makes us stronger from a soul level. So we do experience every aspect of the human condition. So there's that exception. But as far as dying and going to the other side, we don't go to heaven. We become heaven. And from my 9 experiences of leaving my body and being on the other side, I can tell you without a doubt, there was nothing bad, nothing evil, nothing that was anything outside of the feeling of complete and utter love, peace, acceptance, and just this beautiful feeling that is the language of the universe, which is love. So that's not to say that there are not bad energies, angry energies, negative energies. I think that those things do exist, but they do not exist on the other side when we go into a state of what you could call heaven. So let's talk about the heavenly realm and what that means. So, the way that I believe things happen is that when you leave this earthly realm, after you've lived this current lifetime, whatever your belief system is, that is what you are going to experience when you leave your body and exit to go to the other side. So, if you grew up in a very religious background and you believed in things like the pearly gates and St. Peter standing there with a scroll looking at names, you would experience that. You would die, you would walk up, there's St. Peter with the list, and you're either on it or you're not, and the gates open and let you in or they don't. If you believe that you die and you experience nothing, that there is nothing else after you die, there is no heaven and hell, there was just an existence that no longer is, you will experience that. And there's a really, really great book that I read called Proof of Heaven by Dr. Eben Alexander, who is a neurosurgeon, and he had grown up agnostic, or maybe even more towards an inclination of atheist, where he didn't believe in anything after he died. He developed meningitis that caused him to have a near death experience. And he said that when he left his body, he went into this black void. And he said it felt like he was in that space for an eternity. And the only thing that he heard was a bang, pounding sound over and over again. He said it was almost intolerable. And after being in that place of nothingness for what felt like eons, he all of a sudden had a single thought. And his thought was, is this all there is? And as soon as he had that thought, a little white light began spinning, spinning, spinning in front of him. And he followed it and went into a portal, and all of a sudden was in a heavenly realm he describes in his book that was magnificently beautiful, butterflies and flowers and green grasses and rolling hills. And he was in awe of the experience because in his human mind, that didn't exist for him. So whatever your belief system is, you will experience. In my all-time favorite book, The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, How My Bad Boy Brother Proved to Me There's Life After Death. Billy was a very, very advanced soul, and he skipped the whole process. He didn't really know what to expect, but he knew that he was an advanced soul on some level, and he said he went straight to becoming the universe. Whereas for you, what do you believe? What do you think happens when you die? Do you think that you're going to be greeted by Jesus or by God? Maybe you have a special loved one who passed away, a child, a sibling, a friend, a lover, and you're expecting that person to be there waiting to greet you. If that's what you think you'll experience, that's what you're going to experience. But none of those things are the reality of what the other side is. I think that it's a mask because when we exit our body after having this lifetime experience that for many of us in lots of ways can be traumatic, and it can be traumatic just for the pure fact that we feel this separation from being one with everything and this love that we're used to being on a soul level. It's almost like we have to decompress and we have to acclimate back into the other side. So we go through whatever the experiences we need for our soul to kind of dip our toe in the pond of heaven and have that experience. And then as we're there longer and as we start to remember who we are on a soul level, I think things open up and are completely different than anything that we've heard any of these people who have had a near death experience or anything that I've experienced as an out of body experience. I think it's just completely different than anything that we can even imagine. The beauty and magnificence and power of what we are on the other side is something that we don't really get to relate to in this human body. We really have to dumb ourselves down to come into this body to have this experience. So that is my take on heaven and hell. What's true for you is true for you. But I also want to say that I've based a lot of my belief system not only on my own experiences that I've had, but also by watching hundreds, if maybe by now not even thousands, of near death experience testimonies that people have described what they feel like heaven is. And the one thing that I want you to really, really hear is that there is no fear for almost every single person who's had a near death experience. There is no fear of dying. There is no fear of death. There is nothing to fear. This is the game and the pretend. The other side, the heavenly realm, is the real. That's it. Heaven is heaven, and you shouldn't be afraid of it. You should completely be able to drop your fear of death. And that is really my ultimate goal, that by the end of this entire course, that any fear, reservations that you had of dying are completely gone. So that is my wish for you.